Hello, my name is Andrew Thake from Mines and Money. Delighted to be joined today by Nicole Brewster, who's the President and Chief Executive Officer of Renforth Resources. Delighted to have you with us today, Nicole.
Thanks so much. Happy to be here. Pleasure to speak.
Nicole, I can see in your background that you've got a poster up of Renforth Resources saying that you're Quebec's newest battery metals district. Can you tell us a little bit about the district that Renforth Resources is in and a little bit about your company?
For sure. So Renforth, the Surimeau property, which is our 330 square kilometer property, wholly owned and not encumbered at all, it was the first mover in what has now become the Cadillac Pontiac lithium camp. Interestingly, we have the largest and most prospective land package within that lithium camp. There's been something in excess of 4,000 claims staked around us and to the south. That staking is around a feature called the Descelles batholith, which is what's called a fertile batholith. It's the intrusive that provided the heat engine for the one documented lithium or spodumene showing in the area, which is in the margin of the batholith and just off the edge of our property. However, we have the largest staked area of the batholith margin, so the prospective ground. But what we also have is two ultramafic intrusives, which could have been affected by the batholith as well. It's too early to tell. And they host battery metals, nickel sulfide polymetallic. We ground truth the Victoria Trend, which is 20 kilometers long, nickel, cobalt, zinc, copper, silver, and gold starting on surface. And then to the north, we have another trend, which is actually longer, but we've only ground truth 9 kilometers. That's Lalonde. Same mineralization starting at surface, nickel, cobalt, zinc, copper, silver. We haven't seen gold in Lalonde yet. And we also have something that I've been reading up on, and in that it's not that particularly rare, but it's coming into the frame for battery metals, which is manganese. So as I read, Japan has just highlighted the need for it, but as battery manufacturers try to eliminate cobalt due to all the issues with cobalt from their materials list, they're looking to manganese. It extends the life of the lithium batteries, but it also helps with the fact that lithium batteries have a tendency to burn. So it stabilizes them. So it's interesting. We're right in the heart of the district. Right beside us is our gold deposit on the Cadillac Break. And we're in an area called the Pontiac Sediments, which, because we're on the south side of the Cadillac Break is Canada's most prospective or productive gold structure, runs for more than 500 kilometers from west of Kirkland Lake in Ontario to east of Val-d'Or in Quebec. Every couple of kilometers, there's a gold deposit and a gold mine, and they can be extremely deep. But because we're right beside that real estate, the Pontiac was always presumed to be devoid of mineralization of interest. Surimeau encompasses, when I staked Surimeau, I was staking the little bit of historic work that had been done, which showed base or industrial or battery. That's the sexy term, battery metals mineralization. But it was like erratic drilling, a handful of holes punched into a couple of locations in the 1980s or earlier. So it's seen very little exploration. So it's a very, the blue sky potential is not insignificant. And we know it's mineralized. Like, we're not looking for mineralization at Surimeau. We're just trying to define the shape of the structure. And then we'll chase the higher grade. So
So it's going to be like all looking really, really good. What are your plans for the next 6 to 18 months? What can some of the key timelines that investors can expect to hear from Renforth?
Yeah, so broad strokes, high level comment. The plans are to continue to drill at Surimeau. It's really that basic. We have a road which runs through the middle of Surimeau. It runs north-south down the middle, and right beside it, there's a power line. The mineralization was actually discovered when they put the power line through, because about 15 kilometers south of us, the power line ends at a hydroelectric generating station. So we have green power on the property, but the road leaves a town called Cadillac and goes straight south to Power Dam. We use that road to initially access the property and look at the historic workings, which were in the vicinity of the power line, or just west of it. So now we're focused on the area of Victoria, and to the north, the area of Lalonde, from the road more or less to the west. So at Victoria, that gives us 6 kilometers of strike of mineralization on surface. We've drilled out in 2021 and in December, which just passed, we've drilled 2.2 kilometers of Victoria. So in fact, we have guys in the field right now prepping the ground. They're chipping it and clearing it because we're going to hop 4 kilometers to the west and drill the highest priority EM anomaly on the property in March. We'll send the guys up after PDAC, and we'll drill probably 4 or 5 holes, and just to get a first look at that mineralization. Now, it's not that risky. We've prospected the area. We've got mineralization on surface. We've got both the body that hosts the nickel cobalt PGEs, and we've got the alteration or the body that hosts the zinc, copper, silver, gold. So we know we're going to hit something in drilling. We don't know what grades we'll hit. And we don't know the shape of it underground. We feel that it's a fold, so we're intrigued to see that. That'll take us into the summer. What's next? We're in the process of prioritizing what's next and what we'll do going forwards. We've got 2 very interesting assets in a company that at best gets single asset value, given that we don't have a resource or a 43-101 yet for Surimeau, and we still have a fair bit of drilling to do before we will. We're just looking at how to best leverage both those assets to benefit shareholders. We'll also be planning summer exploration. I would love to get back to our little gold showing in Ontario. We haven't been there in some time, but really, we'll be drilling, we'll be press releasing the results, and we'll be quantifying Quebec's newest nickel system. But we see the stringers for a VMS, and we have a worldwide expert giving us a VMS exploration strategy. If we discover the VMS, that changes the game. And we also have an expert in pegmatite exploration evaluating the data. They see high potential. They're going to give UTMs to our guys to follow up, to go to specific spots to prospect in the summer. So come the summer, you'll see, when there's no snow, you'll see some ground exploration again on the lithium. We've only spent about 5 days on the lithium so far, and more drilling. Drilling. That's the plan.
Well, drilling, that's what all good miners should do. You mentioned PDAC there, but before you go to PDAC, you're coming to our Mines and Money Miami show, so you're kind of heading down to a slightly warmer climate. What are you hoping to achieve from Miami, apart from some nice Florida sunshine?
The sunshine will be lovely, but it's not the real reason. What I've built is a company that's held by retail shareholders. We have quite a few with very large positions, or families that are all invested. They're from Quebec, Ontario, some Americans, but we're not an institutional company, we're a retail company. So I'm coming down really looking for retail investors. We typically don't meet institutional criteria. Our market cap's not large enough, and that's okay, because retail shareholders tend to hold. They do their due diligence, they decide they like the story, they invest, and they give the company time to try and prove the hypothesis. I mean, the hypothesis here is, can Surimeau be mined one day? That's a big question. It'll take a long time to prove, but they're prepared to come along as we try to leverage our unbeatable logistical advantage of hydropower, road access, mature mining camp, and surface mineralization. Don't forget, we're next door to Canada's largest open pit gold mine. It'll make it easy to put an open pit nickel mine next door. So we don't need our grades to be terribly high. And we look to Terrafame in Finland, which is operating as a mine owned by the government of Finland and Trafigura, with grades comparable to what we see in our drilling. So we're quite excited about the potential. We need to do more work. And retail shareholders tend to like being part of the discovery process. So I'm just looking for more retail shareholders in Miami, family offices that'll invest. I have to market, but Andrew, I've tried a lot of marketing things, and I'm solicited daily with all these brilliant. The latest was to have an AI avatar read out my press releases and send that to people, because that's going to make them. It's just ridiculous. So the marketing this year, I mean, this is what you like to hear. The marketing this year is me. So, I'm coming to see you in Miami, then I'm standing in my booth at PDAC, Then I'm coming to see you in London. Then I don't have anything booked for May unless I've forgotten it. But in June, I'm at a show in Quebec, and along the way, I'm stopping to meet shareholders in northern Quebec. So the marketing is me, because that's what you're deciding you believe in. Do you think I understand what I'm doing? Do you think I have a plan? And do you think my plan has a hope of succeeding? And I would venture to say it does.
And I think the
But
one thing
do
that
your own due
is
diligence.
and I think the one thing that is actually worth mentioning is that you are a great front person. You won our Minds and Money pitch battle at one of our events like last year. So you're very good at telling us a story and winning over investors. But another point I just wanted to touch on as well, which you have mentioned in passing, but maybe less familiar to some of the US investors who'll be at the Miami show, is Quebec as a mining jurisdiction. Quebec won the Minds and Money most improved mining jurisdiction last year. How good is Quebec as a place to go and mine?
Spectacular. So Quebec, in addition to being recognized by Minds and Money, Quebec regularly ranks in the top 10 of the Fraser Institute's jurisdiction ranking for mining. When people let me talk long enough, eventually I go into jurisdictional risk in mining, and all you have to do is open up anybody's literature, and you see foreign governments or terrorist organizations, security problems, tax regimes changing, governments seizing assets. Quebec is the largest by land mass province in Canada, enshrined rule of law, so no political risk. The area we're in has been mined for more than 100 years, mature mining camp. The government understands mining. The government supports mining through clear legislation in the Mining Act and clear process. We have the benefit of the government of Quebec. Actually, if we do flow through to Quebec residents, they get super flow through. However, if we spend non-flow through dollars, we get a tax rebate. It's not even a tax rebate. It's just a rebate back from the government of Quebec. And forgive me, I don't know the exact number, but it's between a 20 to 30% repayment of our exploration costs that have gone in the ground after we apply for it and they audit it. So it's in arrears, but they write us a check. And I can't think of another jurisdiction that writes you a check for funds put in the ground, as long as those funds did not originate through Quebec residents. However, the government of Quebec, you can also do some reading on their critical and strategic minerals strategy. And they like to keep, like every jurisdiction, they like to keep the value add or the downstream work in the province of Quebec, which is why I'm excited with Terrafame as an exemplar or as something to strive for at Surimeau, because they produce their battery metals through heap leach, open pit, heap leach north of the Arctic Circle, and then they take the battery chemicals out of the leachate and they produce the battery like the actual chemicals that go into the batteries. So there's no intermediaries. They're producing the product that they sell. So that's a closed loop in the critical and strategic minerals. That is interesting in Quebec. Quebec's also developing its own battery campus, I guess, for lack of a better word, in Bécancour. And they're supportive. Investissement Quebec will come in with investment dollars. Quebec will promote Quebec outside of Quebec. They have a delegation in New York that puts forward Quebec mining projects. So the Quebec government's a good cheerleader, but they put their money where their mouth is too. So quite happy to be in Quebec. From my house, I drive approximately 8 hours and I'm on the property. It's all well-maintained provincial roads. So yeah, it's quite good to work there.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing you at Minds and Money Miami. We wish you all the best for 2023. Thank you very much for your time. That was Nicole Brewster, President and Chief Executive Officer for Renforth Resources. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.